on the SportsMax Zone. Now to some disturbing news that emerged after Saturday's final ManningCup game between St. George's College and Arden High at Sabina Park. St. George's College won the game 6-0, but there are reports that the players from St. George's, when they returned to their changing rooms, they found that their belongings were missing. The players reported to have lost footwear, mobile phones, items of clothing and other personal effects. The changing room used by the St. George's players, located on the ground of the Kingston Cricket Club, the ground floor of the Kingston Cricket Club, the area appeared to be under guard of private security personnel. The team's head coach, Neville Burtis Bell, said his boys were left distraught. Said, "We're very disappointed that this happened. Apparently the room was accessed through a back door while we were on the field of play, and a few items stolen. Upon returning to the changing room after the match, players discovered that cellular phones, boots, personal items such as slippers and shirts were missing. They were unable to enjoy the victory after a very good performance on the field." Investigations are ongoing into how the thieves managed to access the room. It's also reported that thieves tried to access the changing room used by the players from Arden High, but were thwarted by the fact that the door was padlocked from the inside. Joining us to discuss the incident, President of the Inter-Secondary School Sports Association, Keith Wellington, and DSP in charge of police operations at Central Police Linville, Phoenix. Gentlemen, welcome to the SportsMax Zone. Let me start with Keith and the latest on this story, because it was discussed in the media on Sunday following the night's activities. Is there any update that you can give us advancing the story from which we just presented?
I'm not sure exactly what has been discussed so far. Well, good evening, Lance, and good evening to your viewers as well. I'm not sure exactly what has been discussed in the media so far, but just to say that the reports, we got the reports immediately after the game on Sunday. From what we have been able to gather so far, we would have provided the teams with keys to their changing rooms. The information we have so far is that the door that was locked with those keys, it doesn't appear as if that door was tampered with. And so, based on what I have heard, access to the rooms or to that room was gained through some other means, which we were not aware of as an organizer, that access point existed. So I know the matter was reported to the police, who were on spot at the game, and the team also went and made reports, I think, to Kingston Central yesterday. I am not sure where the investigation is so far.
Yeah, I saw where the coach of the St. George's College team, Neville Burtis Bell, said a few items were stolen. A lot of the reports suggested that it was more than a few. Few sounds conservative.
I have not gotten the official list as yet. When I spoke with the George's persons this morning, they were putting together that final list. But the initial report suggests that at least 17 cell phones were missing.
Yeah, can we get DSP Phoenix in here on this now? Because, sir, this is very disturbing, a very disturbing story here. Can you comment on the security and how solid, from your perspective, it would have been for Saturday's fixtures?
Good evening to you and your viewers and also listeners.
Yes.
I can tell you that based on our risk assessment for that event, we considered 4 main areas: traffic management, which was one, entry and exit, crowd control, and wherever they had significant or amount of cash dealing with. Those were the areas that we paid particular attention to. As it relates to players changing room, that did not fall into our initial plans as a risk per se, because those areas normally would have been under the direct supervision and management of team and team officials.
So DSP Phoenix, let me ask further. So, all right, so we've heard you in terms of the police's plan, the operational plan for Saturday. So is it that that certain areas, you said, well, the management of the team and team officials and the organizers ought to be covering those areas, so your resources, your people resources and otherwise were not directed in those areas. Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what I'm saying, and I will say also that if there was a concern relative to the safety of items left by players, and this concern was communicated, then that could have been treated with. That could have been treated with by my team. But that was never mentioned as an area of concern.
Right. And it is also true, DSP, that the areas that are being manned by private security guard, your assets on the ground would not interface with those areas. They'd focus on other areas because they'd say, well, okay, we have private security guards there, so there's no need for us to duplicate securing that particular area. Am I right?
You are partially right, not in terms of the duplication of the security apparatus, because as police officers, we have a wide coverage in terms of general security. However, those specific areas were not part of our deployment.
Yeah. So DSP, based on the report made to the Central Police, what is it that the team officials, who I'm assuming made the report, what is it that they have reported was missing from the dressing room when they returned?
All right. Initially, when I intervened, well, in other words, when I was made aware of what had transpired and I intervened subsequently thereafter, items of cellular phones, also cash, some reference made to playing gears were mentioned as items that were removed from the changing room.
I want to take it on the line of inquiry, DSP, but I want to be careful because, of course, I don't want to draw you into saying anything that will affect and interfere with your own investigation, which has to have primacy at this time. But, and I'm not saying, but in the event that someone who is familiar with the area and who has access to the particular areas, if that person enters the room and is found to have removed items without permission from there, in other words, that person would have stolen items, how is that treated with under law? Does the law say, because you have access to the area, but you use that access to take things out of the area that you're not authorized to, does the law treat that person as if they had no right to remove anything, had no right to access the area in the first place? I hope you're clear on what I'm asking.
I don't think I'm quite clear, but I am wondering if you're trying to ascertain that, in other words, let me put it bluntly, the area was properly locked off from the general public, and it contained items of value. Anyone, it doesn't matter who that individual is, would have accessed that particular area and stole those items of value. The law of the land says that they have committed an offense.
Yeah. That's partially what I'm saying. What I was going at, though, was this. If it is that someone is authorized to access the dressing room because maybe they're cleaning or they're organizing or something, but it is that they use that access to then remove items from the room. I was just wondering if it may be a case of even breaking and entering as well, because you are not supposed to lift items that you're not authorized to from the room. So I was just trying to stretch the point to see if you would be treated in the same way as a common criminal entering the area, regardless of if you were cleared to be in that area in the first place, is what I'm getting at.
Regardless if you were cleared to enter that particular area, the moment you remove any item of value from that particular space without it being given to you, or you being authorized to take it, you would have committed an offense.
Hear you on that.
and should be so treated according to law.
Based on the investigation so far, just asking for an update, not details, have you zeroed in on a suspects? What stage is your information gathering at right now, if I may ask?
Well, I can tell you that the investigation is on in earnest. This morning, my commanding officer would have given certain instructions, and an officer is so assigned to this matter and would have visited St. George's College since then, and would have spoken to several persons there. And the investigation will progress as the information in terms of the individuals and the items that were missing are made even more clear.
Does the police have any CCTV footage to help in its investigation? Have you accessed those? Were those available, that kind of footage?
That's part of the information. The investigation is currently ongoing. We will utilize just about any medium that can enhance the investigation, and we hope to have some results within within a very short time, I should say.
All right. So the good word is that the investigation is on in earnest. An officer has the case. So here's the thing, DSP, I want to ask, and given that the ISSA president is here with us. So for the Premier League, for the ManningCup, the Schoolboy Football season opener, persons took advantage of the fact that so many people were there, it was so busy. Police doing their job, private security doing their job, and yet this still happened. What advice would you give to the organizers at ISSA in terms of coordination and maybe even talking to you about what you could assist them with for events such as a big football bill, a doubleheader, or even one game, so that people don't manipulate and make use of the fact that there are so many people around and they can infiltrate and do what was done to the boys of St. George's College on Saturday?
I will say this, that information is key, meaning I would have heard, by the way, that this was not the first time such an incident had occurred at that general area. So therefore, having had an experience prior, I believe that someone should have passed that information on to the organizers so that the appropriate mechanisms could have been put in place to prevent the recurrence of that. And my recommendation to whether it be ISSA or any event organizer utilizing that particular location is to get all the information relative to past events and what should have occurred, and so that you can mitigate against things occurring in the future.
I just want to ask you straight, DSP, is it that if you were asked before Saturday to have your team keep a particularly close eye on the dressing room area, did you have those assets to deploy in that manner?
Most definitely.
So you could have assisted if you were asked?
Yes, sir. If that was, as I would have indicated at the beginning of the interview, if that was listed as an area of concern, then definitely the appropriate action would have been taken to safeguard against any unauthorized person entering that general area. Well,
Mr. ISSA President, Sir Keith, you've heard DSP Phoenix saying that, you know, they had the capacity, they had the resources to assist, to pay specific attention to what we now understand is a trouble spot at the Kingston Cricket Club, the dressing room. But he says your team never made such a request. They weren't asked.
And I agree 100% with DSP Phoenix. I think he's absolutely right in terms of how we could have approached this. And as I said at the outset, we weren't even aware that there existed another entrance to the changing room. So we were given keys to the changing rooms. The keys were handed over to the teams. And therefore, we felt, if you know, the entrance to the changing room, George, is in front of the entire Savannah Park. We had our VIPs seated there. We had the media seated maybe 3 feet away from the doors, maybe less than a foot from the door. But as DSP Phoenix said, I heard subsequently that a similar incident occurred in another competition, but we were not told by the proprietors that, listen, these are areas. And when we did our walkthrough, because for an event like this, George, what we do is that we walk through the venue with our security personnel, both the police and the private security. We walk through with our media personnel, with our sponsors, and we try and identify what needs to be done, including high-risk areas, as DSP Phoenix would have said. And the changing rooms never came up as an area of concern. It was never pointed out to us that there was an entrance and an exit, or there existed some other point by which you could get into these rooms. So I agree 100% with DSP Phoenix, and I think that he's right. Once we ask for the support, we normally get it. But in this particular circumstances, I'm disappointed. Not only that the incident took place, but the circumstances under which it took place. And, you know, I'm really concerned about how it is that we protect our youngsters and property, and how is it we manage the security of a venue like Sabina Park.
Well, perhaps the question may be a touch premature, but I'll ask it nonetheless, Sir Keith. Is there any preliminary plan even from ISSA to offer some form of recompense to the players? Maybe you have a very good name to trade on. Corporate Jamaica loves ISSA, especially the telecoms providers, and the number one, of course, is Digicel. Have you thought with your team to reach out? Maybe if even the mobile phones, the players could get devices to replace those which they have lost. Assuming, of course, that the police don't recover the whole 17 mobile phones. If we are to accept that the police won't recover that, have you had that preliminary discussion to see if those phones can be replaced by our telecoms providers led by the giant Digicel?
I think, George, you're right that we have a good name, and would have earned that good name because we care about the students that we facilitate. We also have extremely good relationships with our partners who believe in what we are doing and believe that whatever we are doing is for the best interest of our kids. And therefore, I don't think you'd be surprised to hear that Digicel has already made the commitment, and then some students, I don't think they have gotten the phones today, but arrangements are already in place for the students' SIM cards to be replaced. So they'll have their same cell phone numbers as well as replacement phones to be given to the students. So yes, we have already had that discussion, and Digicel has already made a commitment to provide those devices, and I'm sure within another 24 hours, because these devices are not just for social purposes, George. Remember, these are students, so their cell phone plays a significant role in their academic lives. And so we don't want them to be without a cell phone, maybe not the cell phone they had, but we don't want them to be without a cell phone for long. So I would almost commit to say that by tomorrow afternoon, these students will have a cell phone in their possession. But I would still like to make it a point of duty to say that we would love our students to have their phones returned. So whomever has the phone or has information about where those phones may be, it is still important that we recover those cell phones.
Excellent appeal.
Not just to get them to get back the phone, but to ensure that the person who was so minded does not have the opportunity to go along that road again.
Excellent. DSP Phoenix, one last one from me. For an event like this, for events like these, big opening to the schoolboy football season, how does the police, what role does the police play in evaluating the security plan, if any at all? Is it that when you do your meetings with the organizers and private security, and of course private security is not police, police are supreme, they enforce the laws of the land. Is it that you have oversight of the security plan to say, no, based on our experience, there's a vulnerability here, you need to beef up your private security there, and then deploy assets there, change this, change that? Is that the role of the police in events like these, sir?
Yes, sir. That is exactly the role. And as Mr. Wellington would have pointed out earlier, that there was a prior meeting, a site visit of the location. Our teams were hand in hand, walked that location, looked at the areas of concern that we felt were of most concern, and we treated with it as we had decided, and the deployment was sufficient to deal with all of that. What happened was very unfortunate, and we would have had a perfect day without that happening. So we'll just have to ensure that next time around we be even more precise and thorough with our examination of a venue, and to ensure that no stones are left unturned in identifying areas of weakness and to make sure that they are strengthened.
Last one, DSP, is there a number that you can give for persons who may have information to call? I know that the police control 119 and the CCU number are available, but is there any other number for any officer, anybody who is assisting with the investigation that someone could call if they have information on what may have happened and who may have made off with the loot on Saturday?
Yes, indeed. I can give you my personal number.
Yes.
876-544-4874. As also Kingston, they can call us at Kingston Central 922-0308. That's 922-0308.
And give me the first number again, please.
544-4874.
All right, DSP Phoenix, DSP Linville Phoenix, the man in charge of the Central Police Station. DSP, thank you for your time this afternoon. We hope that we can get some information, some breakthrough in this investigation very soon, and that the men and women you have working on the case will get the assistance from the public it needs to solve this matter. Thank you for your time. Keith Wellington, thank you for your time as well, sir. We hope that these students can recover from this. Are you offering the boys counseling? Because, principal, it's difficult to be playing football, to win a football game, come back, high five, and realize that you've been burgled.
We have at ISSA, the ISSA body itself, we have not yet gotten to that stage, but we have been in dialogue with the persons around the team, and we are confident that they are offering the type of support that is necessary. I spoke with Principal Campbell twice Saturday night. I spoke with Bertis and Doreen, who are the persons who are directly managing the process and so on. And we are confident that they will get the students back up and the right frame of mind to tackle their schoolwork as well as the football. And we will reach out to them as President and Chairman Uncle, I'm sure, will speak with them.
Hear you on that. Thank you for your time, sir. All the best.
Thank you for having us as well.
Good. Lance, there was an ad from, well, you would be a better place to date it than me, but from my memory, I was a little boy, of course, it was maybe 80s, where you heard some people talking, and the woman said, yeah, you saw when somebody fall in the pool, and they're laughing, like, obviously they're coming from somewhere. Yeah. And she opens the door and, wait, John, we've been robbed. I can't believe it. Look, the silver tray. Yes, and the video, it's gone.
What was it again? What was the ad about?
It was make sure you're covered, make sure you're protected, because not having insurance could be very serious. Something to think about from ICWI, Insurance Company of the West Indies. Free ad. But that's exactly what happened here.
Yes. Because they had a good night.
Yes.
They had a good, I remember the ad well, yeah. Can I repeat the numbers?
Of course you can, please.
876-544-4874 or 876-922-0308.
Yeah.
Those are the two numbers that if you have information on this burglary, you can call the police and have them tackle it.
Absolutely so. Right, time on the segment. Break time, back with more after this.